Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Gary the Intrepid Traveller, and happy Tuesday. That means there is a brand new video from me on travel in India, and today I'm in my pyjamas in typical lockdown style, keeping up appearances, and I'm just in my bedroom. And the vaccine is on the horizon, so hopefully our travelling dreams can get back to normal. Lockdown is over for now. We'll see what happens in January. But this week, I'm going to be talking about Uttar Pradesh, and I'm very proud to be producing this particular video because I've read a lot of information that's online about Uttar Pradesh, and it's quite surprising. Everything talks about why you should go, and so I want to give you a little something different because we all know that Uttar Pradesh has got the Taj Mahal. There's not a person in the world who's going to travel to India who doesn't know the Taj Mahal was in India. And Varanasi is a fantastic place. We all know that. So you don't need another post with that. I do have to touch on it a little bit because I think it's just compulsory. But I want to talk about how you travel there. How do you stay safe there? How do you get from A to B? Do you need to worry about your health? This sort of thing will be more useful to you planning your trip, how to get around and get the most out of your time. And that's really what I want to do for you, because I want to give you a little something different, and it comes from years of experience, and I hope that you can put your faith in me because my work is honest, it is sincere, and it is very, very well researched. So without further ado, let's jump straight in. And I do have to, I'm sorry, I've got to jump in to why you should go, but I will touch also on many of the underdogs quickly, briefly, why you should go to Uttar Pradesh. So before I talk about anything else, it's important that I talk to you of the attractions as a reason why people come, and I'm going to talk about that briefly. I particularly want to add pieces about some of the underdogs, the bits that don't really gain anybody's attention, because it's a shame. They really deserve a lot more publicity than they get. So before I talk about the attractions, I want to talk about what's so appealing about the state itself. Why is it such a wonderful attraction? For me, first up, primarily it is the people, all 204 million of them. 204 million is much more than half of the population of the United States, of every man, woman and child, and they're condensed into a state that's smaller than Texas. So you can imagine what that's like. It's just a kaleidoscope of humanity. It's important to Muslims, it's important to Jains, it's important to Buddhists, and it's important to Hindus. So culturally, it's a melting pot, and it's deeply fascinating. It's also where you find the roots of Mughal cuisine, and these are responsible for a lot of the trademark dishes. You know, the chicken tikka masala and tandoori chicken, they can all find their roots here. For a full detail of the food, read the written blog on this that you'll find on my website. I don't want to make the post this video enormous, you know, so check that out. So sites, in terms of sites, Agra. Everybody goes to Agra. They go for the Taj Mahal, but there's more than the Taj Mahal. You've got the Big Four, you've got several mausoleums around town, so it's very difficult to see all of the things in Agra in a single day, so you're going to need a couple of days. Varanasi is the other big one. It's the really big one. It is one of the most important cities for Hindus ever, and I can say that many Hindus go there to obtain moksha, so that's the pathway into nirvana. So they are burned. They have the cremations at Varanasi, and this is a very intense place. Again, I have a separate written blog. I haven't got around to making a video on that. I will do. read my written blog on Varanasi. There's a good reason why everybody goes. Fetipur Sikri, globally renowned piece of architecture. It's much bigger and grander than the pictures do justice to it. So they're the three big ones. Now the three minor ones, there's three minor ones. Chitrakoot, well, these are my personal favourite. There's much more than that, but these are my personal favourites. Chitrakoot is known as Varanasi in miniature. While it doesn't bear very much resemblance to Varanasi at all, except it's got some ghats and a river running through it, it's very peaceful. There's no burning ghats and no one's cremated there, and it's quite devoid of tourists. So it's a nice chance for you to get involved or get a feel of the spirituality and the faith of the Hindu people there. My second choice for my personal favourites is Ayodhya. Ayodhya is often overlooked by a lot of people. This is also a very important town in the Hindu epics, and there's a whole portion of town that's just old town, and you can spend many days just walking around just going, oh wow, the architecture is sublime, and culturally it's fascinating, and I recommend, if you visit in that way, take a detour, go and have a look at that. Now my third option, my third underdog is an underdog, is Lucknow. Lucknow is fascinating. It's home of some of the best food in India, and when I say the best food, I mean the best food in the whole country, and that's a statement. You've got many British Raj era buildings that's sure to keep your camera lens super busy, you know, and but I will say, for foreign tourists, if you're going to be a foreign tourist in Lucknow, you might find it hard to find a bed. I did, but nevertheless, these three destinations are well worth the extra investment of your time. So now I'm going to talk to you about safety in Uttar Pradesh. There's no need to be overly worried about staying safe. There's no need to get paranoid, but you do need to take certain precautions that I will walk you through to make your trip a little bit more enjoyable. So the first issue that I'm going to talk about is the environmental hazards that are in Uttar Pradesh. Now, recent statistics show that about 400 million people live along the banks of the Ganges and its tributaries. That means 1 in 20 people on the whole planet depend somewhere along the line of the bounty of this one river. And it's very bountiful, don't get me wrong, but as you can imagine, it's getting a bit exhausted, and there's if from my domestic viewers that are watching this, you will know that India has a very hit and miss sanitation service, and many people, particularly in Uttar Pradesh, is left to, not particularly, but certainly in other areas, but they're left to deal with their own rubbish, and a lot of that is burnt, and a lot more of it accumulates in the streets. While this can be unsightly, you can just simply walk around there. What you can't get around is air pollution, and Kanpur was rated the most polluted city in the world, and now I think it's gone to another city called Ghaziabad. I haven't been to this city. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but they're very close within reason to each other, and so you can sort of get the picture. Many people who live in Uttar Pradesh have to do so with an air quality 10 times worse than who states is safe. And in sort of December, January, beginning of February time, it's at its worst, and I've seen it so bad that you can't see across the streets. What that means for you is there's a serious risk of infections, chest infections. If that happens, if you start to feel like you've got a chest infection coming on, go straight to a pharmacy. Do not leave things to get any worse. If you're asthmatic, excuse me. If you're asthmatic, make sure that you carry your pump, the relevant pumps. And if you run out, you can just get, without any prescription, from pretty much any pharmacy. So make sure you come prepared for that. Also, if you if you're overly concerned, you can download the Air Visual app, and this will tell you the pollution count for that day and also predictions for the future, and this is very useful. I certainly have had troubles with chest infections, so don't spend too long masses of time in cities with no breaks, because particularly if you've come from a less congested part of the planet, you will struggle with this. So that is certainly something to take into consideration. The next thing I'm going to talk about is scams, you being a victim of a scam. Now, I can't talk about all of the scams in this because it would be this big, the post. So I have a separate post on my blog called Is It Safe to Travel in India? Again, I will leave the link in the description. But what you need to think about is I know it's draining on you to get people to try and scam you 20 times a day, and I'll be doing a separate video on that, but this is more to implore you not to let that to stop you meeting the local people who are as a whole hospitable and very, very kind. And you have to remember, a lot of these people that are trying to scam you, be it a rickshaw driver, a chai walla, whoever, they tend to be not overly wealthy, and they're just trying to make a quick buck. So try not to let that get in the way of your experience. I'm not over dramatizing it. I would state my claim that if you could spend your holiday in Uttar Pradesh and not be a victim, or people at least try and take your money at least once during the duration of your time, please write to me and I will happily change my name to Susan. That is how many there are there every day. That is a source of stress that you can't let get to you, and you can't let it mask how things really are. Yeah, because the people of Uttar Pradesh, as I said, are incredibly kind and incredibly welcoming. And that's what I'm going to say about that. The next issue I'm going to talk about is dealing with extreme poverty, and it's a very sensitive subject, I know. But if you come from another part of the world, be it another part of India where you don't see nearly as much, or you've come from the West, or wherever it is that you come from, sometimes the poverty that you see could be quite heart-wrenching. Actually, not sometimes, often. And well, if you have any kind of compassion anyway. And you might want to try and help everybody. I mean, I did. When I first went, I just give all my money away. But the thing is, you can't help everybody. You can't. You've got to pick your fights. And also, a lot of the people that are asking you for help, they would be trying to play on your heartstrings. And they mix, there's a lot of con men in there, and that's their angle. And so don't get wrapped up in that as well. For me personally, it's my personal choice. I tend to help the disabled. There are a lot of them. There's no social security in place, and for these unfortunate souls, I feel that life would seem particularly hopeless. So I actually designate a portion of my daily budget when I'm in these areas to give to people. But that's all up to you. It's all up to you. But I must tell you that if you've not seen it before, it might sit a little bit heavy on you, and don't try and help everybody, because it's not feasible. It's not feasible. You can't do that as much as you want to. So yeah. So, and the next thing I'm going to talk about is the increased risk of petty theft. And I would hope that the presumption that there's an increased risk of petty theft in Uttar Pradesh should come with the poverty. I mean, there's no need to be paranoid about that again, but you do need to keep your wits about you, because it's happened a lot of times to me where people have tried to steal from me. I mean, that's just the way it is. So pieces of advice to prevent that from happening: watch your bags. If you've got a day pack, carry it on your front. I find that's a pretty good deterrent. And if you're in the back of a tuk-tuk, make sure you keep the bag on your back to stop people taking it out, your tuk-tuk or auto, or whatever it is, the rickshaw, or whatever it is that you're in. Because twice that has happened to me in Uttar Pradesh. No one's ever got it because I hold on to the handles, but twice in Uttar Pradesh people have tried to take my bag from motorcycles. They've come up alongside, put their hands in and tried to take it out. So that's something that definitely happens. Another thing that has been reported, I personally, it's never happened to me, I don't know anyone it's ever happened to, but it certainly makes the news sometimes, that tourists have been drugged on trains, particularly trains. If somebody offers you food or a beverage of some description on a train, a stranger does, it's just not worth the trouble or the risk, because as harsh as that seems, because the odds are that someone's just being nice. That does happen. It does happen for sure, because it's in the Lonely Planet, and you read and I've read it several times in the newspapers. Again, I don't think it's overly common. There's no need to be paranoid about any of this stuff, but it's a natural increased. Just keep your wits about you. Don't leave your day pack in hotel rooms neither, because I meet a lot of travellers and you say to them, like, oh wait, where's your camera? And it's in the hotel room. No, you wouldn't. Surely that's sense to keep your valuables with you. But so apparently people don't do that. So I'm going to mention that as well. Okay, so that's that. So to wrap up my video on YouTube, I'm still new to this. Forgive me for my editing skills still. They're growing. Very soon I'll be able to put music on it and everything. It's very difficult because I didn't know anything about technology a few months ago. So to wrap it up, in summary, it might be overcrowded, it might be stressful, but then on the flip side, it will give you memories that will last a lifetime. The people are very, very nice, and it's well worth the trip. Oh, and I will notice, not really for nature lovers, Uttar Pradesh, because as I said, 400 million people living along the Ganges. This particular stretch of the Ganges is sleepy, and so there's not a lot of forest. There's 15 national parks in the state, but the only one of any size is Dudhwa National Park, and that links on to the Dala Corridor. I think it's called the Dala Corridor, that links onto Badia National Park. If you do want to see this area, the Terai and the Sal forests, go round, and you're going to go to Nepal, definitely do it from the Nepali side. It's very expensive, so it's not really a nature's lover's heaven, despite the fact there's 15 national parks, but I think it's understandable. So, and I think that's it. I think that's everything I have to say about the logistics of getting around there. I will do another post on scams, and I will do another post on budgeting and all kinds of things over time. But at the moment, this isn't my full-time career. It will be soon, and then I can give you more videos, but I'm just getting off my feet right now, so bear with me. I hope you enjoyed my work, and I hope you dig the pyjamas. I do. And so I'll see you next Tuesday then, and enjoy your week.